Imagine waking to a nightmare, both your parents found dead by a young child who discovered them. The teenager in the house, Sarah Grace Patrick, then turned to social media, posting tearful videos and pleading with true crime creators for attention. Months later, investigators followed a digital trail to a shocking suspect. This is the Brock case. By the way, I'm curious, where are you tuning in from? Drop a quick comment, I read them all, and sometimes your ideas spark our next case. Sarah Grace Patrick's childhood was anything but stable. Years of custody battles and substance issues left her bouncing between households and craving stability. Her mother Kristin struggled with substance abuse while living with James Brock, a man serving felony probation for possession. Court documents paint a disturbing picture of Sarah's early life. At 11 years old, she could describe the foul odor of controlled substances and told teachers about her fears of returning home. James had violated probation multiple times and was legally prohibited from owning firearms as a twice-convicted felon. The custody arrangements shifted constantly between Sarah's biological father Danielle and her mother Kristin. A judge ordered counseling for Sarah, but the instability continued. Emergency applications, temporary orders, appeals, her teenage years became a series of legal documents. In August 2022, family violence exploded into public view. James filed for protection against Kristin, claiming she tried to run him over with a car during a domestic incident. He filed allegations relating to prescription medication and domestic instability. Then something unexpected happened. James withdrew his allegations and married Kristin in December 2023. By all accounts, the couple was turning their lives around. They joined Catalyst Church in Carrollton, were baptized together, and seemed committed to building stability. Kristin's father Dennis later insisted his daughter had overcome her addiction. She was very clean and involved with the church and so happy. For Sarah, now 17, this period might have represented the stability she had craved. Her mother and stepfather appeared to have found peace. But on February 20, 2025, that fragile peace shattered forever. The call came early that morning to Carroll County Sheriff's Office. 2 people had been found dead at 1531, Tyus Road near Carrollton. Kristin Brock, 41, and James Brock, 45, had both lost their lives. The person who discovered them was 5-year-old Jaylee. She had wandered into her parents' bedroom wondering why they hadn't woken up. What she saw that morning changed everything. Sarah called 911 in panic. Investigators arrived to find a puzzling scene. No signs of forced entry, nothing stolen, one door slightly ajar. Someone had entered this house with specific purpose and knew exactly where to find their targets. Multiple theories emerged in those early days. Perhaps someone from James's criminal past had caught up with him. Maybe it connected to old drug debts from the couple's previous lifestyle. The investigation cast a wide net, pursuing every lead that might explain who wanted them dead. Sarah Grace seemed like the most tragic victim. At 17, she had finally found stability with parents who had overcome addiction. Now she was left caring for her deeply affected half-sister and navigating a world where her protectors were gone. Her response seemed entirely natural for a teenager in crisis. She turned to social media, posting emotional tributes that showed her in tears with heartbreaking captions about missing her family. "I can't help but hate myself because I didn't wake up to find them before my 5-year-old sister had to," she wrote in one raw post. The pain seemed genuine. The grief overwhelming. But Sarah Grace didn't stop at private expressions of sorrow. She became an active advocate for solving her family's case, reaching out to multiple true crime content creators on TikTok. Her messages to influencers were detailed and emotional. She contacted creator, reportedly, in June, "Search up Brock case. They're my parents and out of nowhere a random Thursday night someone came in my house and took their lives, leaving me and my little sister to find them." Other creators received similar outreach. Someone calling herself Sarah Grace contacted Mama Tot with a personal plea, "Mama Tot, I need a mama bad right now, I'm going through it." Another influencer, True Crime Mama, claimed Sarah Grace asked for her help about a month before the arrest. To most observers, this seemed like a desperate teenager seeking help from the only community she felt might listen. True crime creators had solved cases before. Maybe they could bring attention to this tragedy. Sarah Grace's online presence during this period was extensive. She commented on posts related to her family's case and consistently pushed for more media coverage. When one content creator speculated that the perpetrator must have known the victims, Sarah Grace responded knowingly, most definitely was since they knew the house. But as months passed, some interactions began striking people as unusual. In one exchange, she told an influencer that media coverage would be a really big hit. The phrasing seemed oddly focused on entertainment value rather than justice. Content creator Janice from, allegedly reportedly, later reflected, "Although I've been contacted by many family members of missing people, this was the first time someone who contacted me was later arrested for the crime." Sarah Grace also shared crime scene details that seemed remarkably specific. She described finding her parents and the emotional impact on her sister. One creator noted, "It felt like she was digitally reliving the crime." You have to wonder what investigators thought of this digital advocacy campaign. Here was a grieving teenager using every tool available to keep her family's case in the public eye. Her detailed knowledge seemed natural, she had been there that morning. Meanwhile, investigators were working methodically through their evidence. Law enforcement, including federal partners, sifted through thousands of hours of physical and digital evidence. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office, FBI, and Georgia Bureau of Investigation were building what they would later describe as mountains of evidence. The investigation had never gone silent despite its absence from public attention. Detectives were analyzing forensic samples, reviewing digital communications, and conducting countless interviews. They were looking for any detail that might crack the case open. As summer arrived in Carroll County, something began shifting in the investigation's focus. The evidence that had been accumulating for months was starting to point in an unexpected direction. The digital trail investigators had been following wasn't leading to external suspects or unknown enemies from the couple's past. Instead, it was pointing toward the teenager who had been most vocal about seeking justice. One piece of evidence that particularly caught investigators' attention was a live-streamed recording of Sarah Grace delivering a eulogy at her mother's funeral. Rather than seeing this as natural grief, investigators believed the performance was calculated to divert suspicion. The digital evidence was equally compelling. Sarah Grace's online activity in the months following the deaths, her outreach to content creators, her detailed knowledge of crime scene information, her seemingly strategic attempts to direct the narrative, painted a picture investigators found deeply suspicious. Ashley Hulsey, Carroll County spokesperson, would later explain, "Our team sifted through mountains of physical and digital evidence and collaborated with the FBI and GBI Crime Lab." On July 8, 2025, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office made an announcement that shocked everyone. Sarah Grace Patrick, the teenager who had spent months advocating for her family's case, had turned herself in. She was charged as an adult with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. The teenager seen as the most tragic victim was now the primary suspect. "We don't know what goes through the mind of a child who allegedly wants to harm their parents," Hulsey admitted during the press conference. Sarah Grace's family remains divided on her guilt. Her biological father Danielle Patrick maintains absolute confidence, "I know, 100% of my heart, that Sarah's innocent. She's a typical 17-year-old and would never do this." Danielle criticized the investigation process, claiming police questioned his 16-year-old daughter without proper parental consent. He revealed that Sarah Grace had provided investigators with names of other people she suspected. Her grandfather Dennis Nolan expressed similar doubts, "It's all speculative stuff. Nothing puts the gun in her hand. They don't have the gun." When Sarah Grace called her grandfather from jail after her arrest, her words were reportedly desperate. "What are they doing to me? Why are they doing this to me? I didn't do anything." The investigation remains ongoing, and authorities haven't ruled out additional arrests. As this case moves through the legal system, questions about guilt and innocence remain officially unresolved pending trial. What drives someone to allegedly harm the people who raised them? Was Sarah Grace Patrick a heartbroken teenager genuinely seeking justice, or was she manipulating public sympathy while investigators gradually uncovered the truth? The evidence that convinced investigators to file charges hasn't been fully disclosed. Without a conviction, the question of her guilt or innocence will ultimately be decided by a jury weighing the prosecution's case against the defense's arguments. For little Jaylee, now orphaned and forever changed by what she witnessed that February morning, the legal proceedings represent just one part of a much longer healing journey. The community that initially rallied around this family now struggles to process how their story took such an unthinkable turn. Whether justice will be served depends on the legal system's ability to distinguish truth from digital performances that may have obscured it for months. As this case unfolds in court, one certainty remains: the impact of that terrible morning will echo through multiple lives for years to come.
If you enjoy deep dives into true crime, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Until next time, friends!